Welcome to the podcast, A Drink with Derek. Follow comedian Derek Richards on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram, and don't forget to subscribe to his YouTube channel and watch all episodes of the podcast. Now grab a drink and join your host, Derek Richards.
Hey, it's Derek Richards here in Las Vegas. Nice to be back here in the studio. Had a crazy work schedule between my road schedule and also a thing called Hurricane Ian, which affected our producer Sean down in Inglewood, Florida. Grateful that he is back and that recovery is going well down there, and which is kind of the focus of our episode today. As I bring in a good friend of mine, Ken Lovejoy, who is a radio personality down in Southwest Florida. And he was in the middle of all this craziness that took place. And so looking forward to catching up with him and finding out how things are going down there, how things are going down there in Florida, and really how the whole process was actually being a part of what is being labeled as, I think, the most devastating hurricane to hit Florida ever, if I'm not mistaken. I'll go ahead and double check with Ken on that here in a second. But great to be here in Las Vegas. Thank you so much for being a part of the podcast. You can go ahead and find all episodes on YouTube. Also on Rumble, go on there as well. All the episodes of A Drink with Derek are available at your disposal. I am excited I've got some shows coming up November 14 through 17 here in Las Vegas. I'll be over at Brad Garrett's Comedy Club at the MGM Grand. Also hopping on a couple of cruise ships here in the meantime. But in Vegas, November 14 through 17, all the dates will be at the bottom of the screen. And also follow my website, DerekRichards.com. You can also grab a copy of my album, Double Down, which is available on iTunes, Spotify, and Amazon. Very happy with the way that turned out. Recorded live at Laugh-In Comedy Cafe in Fort Myers, Florida, which I know went through some serious stuff with Hurricane Ian. But I am excited to have this album available. Go ahead and find it wherever you get your comedy. And also, the Irish Comedy Tour is starting up here very soon. Coming up, I say very soon only because I can't believe it's already like almost November. Here we are. Look at, let's see, we start on February 23rd in Johnson City, New York, the irishcomedytour.com. Myself, Damon Liebert, Derek Kane, and Michael Malone. The irishcomedytour.com is our website. But when I get to my guest today, who is originally from Spokane, Washington. He's a radio personality in Punta Gorda, Florida, at WCCF Radio. He spent 10 years in the Navy as a radio man, spent radio time in Rock Springs, Wyoming, Youngstown, Ohio, Newport, Oregon, and down in Punta Gorda, Florida now. He did the nice radio trajectory of bouncing all over the United States. He has a podcast called The Freedom Chronicles with his host, Mike Imbasciani. We'll get to that here in just a second. You can find him on WCCFradio.com, which is part of iHeartRadio. His show is called Charlotte County Speaks down in Southwest Florida. My guest today, Ken Lovejoy, and this is a chunk of his podcast, The Freedom Chronicles, with Mike Imbasciani and our mutual friend, comedian Dave Landau here on A Drink with Derek.
I get that.
Which I liked it. Don't get me wrong. I look like a different person. That's the thing is I've had mohawks.
You actually look. You look like a late 70s to mid 80s TV detective.
There you go. And when yes. When your Instagram says a hooker with a heart of gold, it fits in well with that image.
Yeah,
your Ahoy.
Yeah,
it works well.
Yes, the Ahoy, the whole sailor thing really is a 70s detective. That's a good way of putting it. Not a guy who's slowly dying from a virus that's not been identified yet.
Now we only do this once a week. I've got my daily radio show. You got you. How often you do a daily with Crowder? Right?
Yeah, Monday through Thursday, very early, inappropriately early if you ever want to write in. If you prefer a later time.
What time do you get up? What time do you get up? What time do you start recording?
Oh man, like usually about 6, and then you get up and do that until about 6 o'clock Texas time. Then you do that until about 9 when the show starts. And then you do the show, and then after you plan the next day's show, and I just write the comedy though. That's pretty much my job, so I don't actually have to do any of the research. I just nod along and pretend I know what they're talking about. I'm like, yeah, it's
Right.
true.
And then you just throw in the nice little quips every now and then.
But it works.
Yeah, I'm like,
Really
I throw in one-liners, and I'm like, yeah, that whole Korea thing, that's a real mess, and I won't know what I mean.
Oh yeah,
That's what I do. That's what I add to the program. But I like to write, sketches, and I like to do a lot of that stuff. But it is cool. It is a lot of hard work, but people do seem to enjoy it, and it seems to pay off in that way, and that's pretty exciting.
Yeah, a lot of people I don't think realize what you have to do to put on a show like you guys do.
Yeah.
What it takes, the show prep, the on the technical side, downloading all the audio and getting all that stuff together, and then deciding, how it's going to flow. Some people just do it on the fly, like us here, but
which is fine.
But
you got a scrolling ticker. Don't.
Yeah, we got a ticker. Look at that.
Ticker, yeah.
It looks official.
It's just it's much happier than CNN's. It's not just
right.
Yeah,
it's given all his shows.
Yeah,
right. Where he's playing.
Well, yes, and folks, you can go to Dave Landau this weekend. I want to talk about that a little bit. You're at Visani right here in Port Charlotte, Southwest Florida.
All right, my good friend Ken Lovejoy in Port Charlotte, Florida, right now. How you doing, buddy?
Good. Kind of getting carried away, airing my show on your show here.
Well, the audiences need to see what else is out there.
This is true. And
so you guys do a fantastic job with the podcast, the Freedom Chronicles, which we will talk about here in a second. I'm doing very well. It's been a crazy schedule. I mean, I've been fortunate and grateful to be back out on the road and doing a bunch of stuff, which is nice. And then when I got back here and then I was connecting with Sean, I'm like, hey, are we able to, go ahead and record some episodes? And he's like, yeah, got a little thing called Hurricane Ian that sort of took out everything. So, I mean, like a complete idiot, really like probably most of the planet, like after that initial 6 days of coverage on Fox, CNN, MSNBC, whatever. And it's like, oh, wow, this area got really jacked up. Okay, now let's talk about Ukraine and January 6th. Let's talk about two things that are so stupid that we should completely focus more of our attention on. Let's not look at this devastation that happened with Hurricane Ian. So yeah, I totally forgot, like a moron, that internet service was going to be smoked. And even more so forgetting that Sean Schultz, our producer here, who does a fantastic job, is based in Inglewood, Florida, which was right in the middle of all this stuff too, like you as well. So I'm just grateful that you guys made it through okay. I mean, I'm sure you know plenty of people that did not. I mean, I can't even wrap my brain around it.
Well, I have a talk. We both know Jamie down in Fort Myers, and
Jamie Morgan, who's one of the comedian. I know he was okay. I think he was concerned about his father. Now, Jamie's a comedian, and he's also managing, or one of the managers over at Visani in Port Charlotte, which is a comedy theater that's down there. And
I haven't heard from him. I heard his house got hit pretty hard.
Did it? Yeah, because he was staying somewhere else at the time, and because I had messaged him like right after the storm came through, and he hadn't gone anywhere just yet. So, but I want to talk about this because again, this is out of the media's attention right now. If you're not in Florida and you weren't in the direct path of where this thing came through and did some damage, I mean, we all saw it on the news, and we're like, "Wow, this sucks." Okay, now the next story, because that's just how the cycle of everything goes. And I have such
once the final body is found, they pull the coverage.
Yeah, it's true, and I'm sure there's still bodies that haven't been found yet. To be honest with you, I mean, so I want to ask you about this because you were right there in the middle of this whole thing. Because I'm watching the news, and so I mean, the run up to Hurricane Ian, how were people reacting in Southwest Florida? And by run up, I mean, say 4 days prior.
Oh, 4 days. Okay. That 4 days prior is it was about 2 days prior. Your newbies, and we have a lot of them here in Florida that have just moved here from out of state, and this is their first rodeo with going through a hurricane. So as soon as they announced that it was going to turn into a hurricane, The newbies raided the Walmarts, the stores, cleaned out all the shelves. The veterans were like, I don't think this is going to hit here. It was about a day and a half before Ian hit when I finally put up the hurricane shutters. And so some people, a lot of people bought up all this food that wound up going bad.
Right.
And so you got the mindset of the people who've gone through these before and aren't that worried. They prepare. They're always prepared. They always got, water or batteries, flashlights, a go bag if they have to evacuate. Most people who've lived here a while, you just prepare like that. The newbies, maybe not so much. And I think they freaked out a little bit. There was a huge run on gas and run on all kinds of toilet paper, of course, napkins, everything, paper products, gas, propane.
Well, you need toilet paper. You need toilet paper. You need toilet paper when you're going through a hurricane and COVID.
Gotta have that. Yes, most definitely.
Exactly. Most definitely COVID.
That's the first item on the list right there.
Yes, I believe Fauci and the CDC said get double ply soft toilet paper.
Get your toilet paper after your third booster. You should be fine.
God.
But yeah, so you had people that didn't think this was going to be anything at all, and I was one of those. The way I was looking at it, and some of the trackers that I was following, kind of had it going more towards the Panhandle. But we all thought the same thing back in August 13th, Friday the 13th of 2004, when Charlie came up. Charlie was supposed to go hit Tampa. It turned right at Charlotte Harbor and ran right up the river. It was a very powerful storm, gusts up over 190. It did a ton of damage, but in an isolated area because it was a tight, compact storm and it was moving very fast at like 25 miles an hour. And so it did a lot of damage to Port Charlotte, Punta Gorda, and then on up the river. But where Ian, you could have fit Hurricane Charlie in the eye of Ian. So Ian was a much bigger storm, and it did the same thing. It made a right in Charlotte Harbor and came right at us again, just like Hurricane Charlie did. Had it gone further north by about maybe 15, 20 miles, all of that damage that completely wiped out Fort Myers Beach would have wiped out Punta Gorda and us. We probably would have got that storm surge that Fort Myers Beach saw. So we got lucky in that we didn't get the storm surge, but we still took the eye of the storm and saw a lot of heavy damage. Mainly this was more water damage than anything, because this thing was just relentless. I mean, 7.5 hours, it just sat on us and with just tons and tons of rain. Yeah, it just didn't
move.
No, it was only moving at 9 miles an hour, and then when it hit shore, it slowed to 4, and it just.
Yeah, because I remember because I was watching it on the news and I was following it, and I'm like, this thing is not moving. And I mean, I had spent 10 years living down in South Florida, down in West Palm Beach area, and so I'm used to seeing hurricane coverage. I'm like, all right, I was going to come through, and it blows through, and it's done. But it sat there like a creepy ex-girlfriend right outside your house.
That's a good analogy.
And just jacked up everything.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah. And that was it. It was water.
Like one of your crazy exes, like in the front yard of your house, just throwing poop at your windows for like 8 hours, and you're like, she's got to leave sometime. She's got to eat.
All her friends helping.
Yes, with all of her loony friends from book club.
Yeah, that's a perfect analogy. Yeah, that's what it was. Well, Go ahead.
No, I was going to say, I mean, did anyone think that this thing would top Hurricane Charlie? Because this, I believe, was being called the worst hurricane ever to hit Florida. Is that correct in terms of intensity and damage?
Well, I think in terms of damage, I wouldn't say in terms they're still hashing out the details on that. But statistically, from a monetary standpoint, I would say this is probably the worst hurricane to hit, because you had 50 out of 67 counties in a disaster declaration. So whereas most of them, like Irma, a few years back, I mean, you only had just a few counties: Collier, Lee, Charlotte,
right?
DeSoto, Sarasota, just a few counties. But this thing came in; it was just so big, and it was so slow moving. And again, just the amount of rain. It wasn't so much the wind. The wind always is an issue in a hurricane, but the amount of water this thing dropped was just it was crazy.
Well, I remember seeing the video footage where they were showing the water being drawn out of the Bay Area, and I think that was wasn't it down
in Tampa?
In Tampa.
Up in Tampa.
I mean,
yeah, there
literally
was,
all the water was pulled out, and there's all these dead fish laying there.
Yeah.
And the reporter from Weather Channel standing there goes, "Oh, well, there used to be water here," and you see boats just laying in the mud, and I'm like, "Oh, this is coming back. This is going to be returned with interest."
But
you should
apparently
leave now.
It wasn't. Who was it? One of our fellow comedians is in St. Pete, and that's where originally they thought it was going. So he was Instagramming all, he's boarding up everything and getting stuff ready, and they showed where the bay, Tampa Bay just got sucked dry to water, but it just came back the next day. They didn't get like any flooding or anything up there. It was a weird storm in that way. Where you thought was going to flood didn't flood. It was weird, but there was a lot of flood.
No, it's insane. I mean, did anybody think this would top Hurricane Charlie?
No. I mean, you never do. You never know. You don't know.
Right.
You know, only the shadow knows, or Mother Nature. You can't predict it really until it's on top of you, and it all really depends on: is it carrying a lot of water? Is it drawing a lot of storm surge? Is it a huge storm, and how fast is it moving? And that's really, if it had been moving, like most of them tend to move at like 12 to 14 miles an hour. So, so they do the damage, but they don't really, this just sat
they don't
on
sit around like we were talking. Yeah.
Yeah. They don't sit around and, we're not done with that mobile home park just yet. And that was it. It was just relentless.
I mean, walk me through when you thought when you knew this was real.
Well, my gut was telling me, my gut started saying, put the hurricane shutters on. I'm like, okay, here we go. And then I just because.
And this was about a day and a half before it.
A day and a half before, and and I wrote out I wrote out Irma here at the station, so you got to try and keep.
That wasn't even a hurricane. That was your cleaning lady, Irma.
Yeah, well, it shook the building a little bit, and you felt it, but it was nothing like this. This one, we actually saw some damage here at the building, and we were doing everything we could just to keep the stations on the air. But it was probably about noon, the day of. What was that? The 28th, 27th. I don't know. I'm still in kind of an Ian time warp right now.
Everything just blends. I know. I can't even imagine.
But it was about noon. I thought, man, this thing looks like it's going to be it's coming. Whether or not it went to Tampa, and I'm almost glad it turned, because again, like I said, if it had kept going up the coast a little bit more, we would have gotten all of the storm surge, and that would have done a number on Punta Gorda, which really took a huge hit during Charlie. Back in the day. So it was about then, and then it continued to get worse throughout the day.
Well, I mean, we saw all the video footage of stuff that was going on as far as Fort Myers Beach and Fort Myers, and then even in Port Charlotte here too. Now, you got some pictures that you had sent me here, and go ahead and Sean, pull these pictures up that Ken had sent over. This was right after.
This is my backyard.
This is your backyard. This just looks like your jacked up backyard. Like you don't clean it up.
Well, it's actually my neighbors. It's my backyard and down a few houses. My power pole, and the reason I had no power is all of that right in there. And so once they got that cut away, so that was just some of the damage, just blowing down trees.
Okay. And what's the next picture here, Sean, that he sent over? This is the front of the radio station.
which
Okay,
there
so
was
what
a big
am I
red,
not seeing? There's like an awning that was there.
there's a big red awning that's no longer there.
That's
and
apparently in Panama City now.
Yeah. Well, actually, no. They found it. They found it and drug it out behind the back door. The that bunch of aluminum you see there, that's part of the
Yeah, aluminum there on the left side of the door. Yeah.
Yeah, that's part of the gas station sign from about 200 yards away.
Wow. Okay. The next, let's see the next picture here, Sean. This is the, let's see this one here. This is right outside here from your studio, isn't it?
Well, yeah, that's actually in my boss Robin's office. I was just taking pictures out the front. That's the front side of the storm when it finally took out that tree and knocked it over.
Okay. And what the next one here, Sean? Let's see what we got here. These are okay. This is the radar of. Wow. I mean, if you really, take a look at that. People watching this, look at the outline of Florida, and look at where that's like when you don't. I mean, because I had seen, obviously radar footage of this, but I haven't seen it isolated like this. That is a massive storm.
Yep, and we're right there in that little blue circle in the middle. We are right up near about the 12 o'clock position.
Oh my God! What's the above the next one here, Sean? This is wow.
That was Wednesday, day of at 2:10. Yeah.
That's like literally you're looking at the bottom edge in Miami, and the north edge is probably halfway up between maybe
St.
200
Augustine,
miles north of Tampa?
Yeah.
That's insane. What's the next one here, Sean? Okay, those are all the ones that Ken had sent over. Okay. Sean, pull up the videos, the video clips that were sent here as well. Yeah, because you had sent those too. That was
I had a short one of the front side and then a short one of the back side. Backside was the worst part of the storm.
Oh, I can imagine. Sean, do we have those clips here? Okay, here we go.
That's the beginning.
Right.
Just starting.
And again, it's only when you see it on television. It's something else when you're watching it on your phone.
Yeah, and that's the thing with the power outage. You guys saw how bad it was before we actually. I mean, we could only tell by the radar and what we saw out the front window. You guys saw the actual devastation before we did.
Oh, unbelievable! What's the next video clip here, Sean?
Okay, as you can see, things have picked up. That's the front side of the storm. And again, it's just dumping water. The tree was still up.
Right. And these are oak trees that are right outside there, if I'm not mistaken. I mean, those are trees that have been there for a long, long time. So it's...
Yes.
I mean, I always see palm trees getting ripped out, but palm trees don't have a deep root system. So to see this is... Okay, and then the... let's see, what's the next clip that we have here? Because I know...
That's...
okay, this is where now? What's here?
That's our server room. We call it the rack room. That's all our servers and all our microwave transmitters to our various transmitter sites are located. We had water. That's the backside of the storm, and water's just pouring in through the roof. So we're climbing on step ladders, throwing sheets of plastic up over the top of the servers, and then trying to direct the water into buckets beneath it. That was fun.
That looks safe, Ken. You should absolutely do that more often. You should... as you're explaining this, in my head I'm going, are you out of your mind? Hey, I should get video footage of me standing in this microwave room in 120 mile an hour winds with 17 inches of water coming in per second. Hang on, where's my iPhone?
Well, that was for insurance purposes.
yeah, for your health insurance. Don't show them that. Why'd he get electrocuted? Well,
how soon after this did he get shocked? Yeah.
How soon did his heart stop after this thing? Now, Sean, you had some, our producer, Sean Schultz in Inglewood, Florida, had some cool videos that he had shared with me before we had started. And Sean, go ahead and pull up your clips here and walk us through what you had gone through, because these were taken right outside your right outside of your house. You
Were
had a
you
couple
in
of
Rotunda? Okay.
That's when the rain stopped. Wow. Okay. And then that's all right
Wow.
there.
The water
That's all
was
flooded
coming
then.
almost all the way to
That's
the
your car,
house.
and that's all. Is that all like? Is that the street, or was that your front lawn,
Yeah.
which is now your
Pond.
waterfront property?
Yeah. Oh, wow.
Wow.
So did you get water in your house? Good. Wow.
Wow. Well, you
Well,
said there
good
was
for
like
you.
a mobile home community right down the street that just got flattened.
Was. Yeah. Yeah, it was
Wow.
like that for several from Northport, even up in from Northport, Englewood, mobile home parks. They never do well, and you have there's still a lot of older mobile home parks in the Englewood area and yeah, a lot of older mobile homes really got just blown away, and there were RV storage areas in Deep Creek, not too far from Visani, just to Derek give you kind of a landmark, and people had these huge, $100,000, $200,000, $300,000, $400,000 RVs, stored in this place, tossed them
Right.
around like Legos.
Well, in that last video that Sean had there, that was your backyard, Sean, wasn't it? With that above ground pool. I'm stunned that an above ground pool made it through this.
Yeah.
Oh, it's crazy. I know.
Okay.
Look at this. Wow.
You think that would have just blown right in?
Yeah. Well, they weren't planted there before, but they are now.
Yes.
They
That
blew in
was,
from the
and
neighbors.
it did that.
Wow.
Mm.
That's insane. Now, was there a shed there before the hurricane? Oh, okay. No, I was talking about the other picture right there. There were some cinder blocks, looks like a foundation for something, and then now it's gone. Unless that was something that you started to build and then you got lazy and you didn't finish it.
Yeah.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah, how many are going to use the hurricane now? For, honey, I was going to finish that garage project, but Ian screwed up everything.
Oh, and you're going to be using that excuse for at least a year, 8 months to a year.
I'm sure of that.
Honey, I wanted to, but the hurricane.
I didn't want to end up in bed with your sister, but the hurricane.
Yeah,
what was I supposed to
do? God, hon.
It picked me up and blew me
People
into her.
edge.
What do you want from me? We were all devastated.
Yeah, we all deal with it in different ways.
It's horrible to laugh at this, but I guess that's all you can do now. You've got to have a sense of humor about everything, whether it's when you go through something like this.
People get mad at me because that's how I always am.
Well, that's how people react to
the
stuff.
roof's getting blown off, and I'm cracking jokes.
what are you going to do? I mean, gallows
Exactly.
humor is what gets, professions like, cops,
Got me through life.
paramedics, firefighters, nurses, doctors.
That's it.
I
My
mean, they
dad
have
was a
the
cop.
most
That must
dark
be it.
twist. Yeah, they have the most dark, twisted senses of humor because you've got to have some kind of a release valve when you're in that
Yeah,
level
you
of
do.
stress. I mean, now
You
what do
do.
people not know about the devastation that this thing caused? As we were talking before, as media coverage has gone away in terms of covering Hurricane Ian and what happened. I mean, what do people not
Yeah.
know about the devastation here?
And again, this just comes from my experience going through.
Sure.
I lost everything in Hurricane Charlie, and it was kind of a whole starting over type thing. And
Sure.
I mean, with these studios that we're broadcasting out of now, we're just about a month away from being finished being built when Charlie hit us. And Charlie at our old radio stations down in Punta Gorda ripped the roof off the building, and all the stations were on the outer part of the building, so they all had windows, and you'd walk out of the studio door into what looked like a courtyard after the roof was gone. So
Wow.
it's the collective misery that you're dealing with after. Some people who didn't get any damage at all, wind up feeling survivor's guilt because their neighbor across the street got his whole house, ripped to crap and torn up. There's a lot of that, a lot of psychological stuff. You will see people drinking more, alcoholism and stuff, as if hasn't, fentanyl and all that stuff hasn't been a problem already in Florida. You see it starting to pick up. I think really, in my opinion, the biggest issue is not here in Charlotte County. We took a lot of damage, but when you look in comparison to what Lee County, Cape Coral, Pine Island, Sanibel Island took, I mean, they got wiped away. I mean, just smacked into nothing, and that's hard. I knew a lot of business owners down on Fort Myers Beach. Used to hang out there with friends back in the day, and to see it you can't even recognize it now. It's that gone. So it's just the rebuilding process. Some people are going to get helped. Some people are going to get FEMA, their insurance, and everything. It works out for them. I've already heard stories of people being rejected from FEMA, not getting anything. Homelessness is going to be on the rise. So again, there's when the cameras leave, the devastation is still here. That they would rather focus on Ukraine. Well, we got a Ukraine right here. We got the
I agree.
damage.
I mean, that's well, and it's almost like a funeral. Somebody passes away, and you're at the actual funeral, and you're at the viewing, the visitation, and you're seeing the person in the casket, and you're like, oh, this is horrible. I'm so sorry you're going through this. But when everybody leaves and everything's packed up from the wake and the person's just left there to deal with the aftermath, I mean, that's the worst part. I mean, you're caught up in the moment of all the excitement of everything happening at the time in terms of, I mean, not saying that there's excitement at a funeral, but I mean, you just have tons of family and friends that come in, and it's just overwhelming. But then once all that stuff goes away, and when you're quiet is when your brain gets really loud.
Yeah. And it's not, and like I said, I lost everything at Charlie. This one, I'm the one with survivor's guilt because I got a dent in the gutter and I got a little piece of soffit askew. So I feel I don't have survivor's guilt though. I feel very lucky. I'm 1-1 on the hurricane.
Exactly. You went through it. You went through it one time before, and you knew what it felt like to be on that end. And you're a good guy, and I know you've always been very helpful to friends and family and neighbors and stuff like that. So I'm sure that you're doing everything that you possibly can to help them get back on their feet. What is getting done fast?
Oh, fast. What I thought again. The national press has been trying to criticize Governor DeSantis for his response. It was top shelf. I mean, he was staged and ready to go prior to it hitting. Nobody knew where this was going to go. Nobody had a clue. Nobody could predict where this was going to go. The evacuation orders went out when they should have. I think from a county level to a state level, they've all done a fantastic job. The fact that it was close to a month. It was about 3.5 weeks before I got power back after Hurricane Charlie. I had power back in 9 days here. I mean, the number, I think it was somewhere 43,000, I think was the number of electricians that were from all over the nation. I mean, I saw trucks from Connecticut, Wyoming. They came all over to help us get the power back on. So from a state level, a county level, a city level, and from an FPL perspective, I think that everybody just did a stand-up job. And I'll argue with anybody who wants to criticize them about it, because I don't see how they could have done better. No, and anybody that
I've talked to down there, friends of mine that are down in Florida, everything that they have said in terms of how the governor has handled it, as far as what DeSantis has done and how quickly the state of Florida has reacted, has been extremely impressive. So, I mean, again, all the stuff that you're hearing, all the stuff that's on the mainstream media, on social media, on Twitter, and all that other crap where they're criticizing DeSantis and how this is being handled is, again, from everybody that I've talked to, it's complete garbage. I mean, couldn't be any more
and
false.
From a federal level now, I don't think they have enough people down here or had enough people down here. And it's always they're directing you to call this 800 number. And I mean, you're just jammed up.
Yeah.
Or go to a website. Well, who's going to go to who can go to a website in Lee County right now? I mean, you got to try and find an aid station that has Wi-Fi available, and then hope that the bandwidth's enough that you can, have it long enough to fill out your little FEMA form online. So
that's what I was going to ask. I mean, I was going to say, what's taking forever? I mean, we know what's happening FEMA. Fast, as you just mentioned.
They talk FEMA. A good game.
Again, on a federal level.
Yeah, they're talking a good game, but I think it's kind of a slow walk. That's just my opinion. But again, whereas the state and local governments in all the affected areas, I think, have done a fantastic job. And again, the people helping each other out. Nobody was, who nobody was looking for? An Ellie Mistal. Nobody was looking for Don Lemon. Everybody was looking for toxic masculinity after this thing hit, and toxic femininity. We want real men and women to get in here and get this stuff fixed. We want our power back. We want our internet back. We want our phones back. Nobody gave two big ones about, what your political persuasions are, or what your pronouns were. Let's work together and get stuff done. And the neighbor helping neighbor, the people helping people. And again, the state and local response to it, I think, has been fantastic. And I think maybe that's why the media bailed as quickly as they did. Things were making DeSantis look too good.
There was no story
for
him.
Even when Joe Biden says, "Hey, he's doing a good job here," so it's like, "Hey, okay, we got to get out of here."
I will say my favorite thing, and I don't have this clip here, and I wish I would have pulled it up, and I know people can find it very easily, where you'll see Biden doing a presentation talking about how the recovery was going for Hurricane Ian. And DeSantis is standing right behind him. And all of a sudden, Biden weaves in this, well, I think we should talk about climate change. We all know this is real. And the look on DeSantis's face.
I know.
And I mean, how the look on any human's face with a brain would be like, you're going to bring up climate change right now while you're standing in Florida amidst billions of dollars of devastation and human loss. What's that?
Nobody F's with a Biden.
He got 81 million votes.
Did you see that clip too? No, did you see that clip too?
No, I did not.
He was talking. He was down there at Fort Myers, and he was talking to some. I don't know if it was a county official or someone off to the side. Yeah, it was just talking to this one guy, but they had the microphones pointed over him, and he was talking to this guy, and that's what he said. Nobody F's with a Biden. Only said the whole expletive, but I understand they're on CTA, so I can't say that.
You can say whatever you want. I could care less. I got somebody asked a couple random questions here. Going to shift gears,
Right.
getting off of the Hurricane Ian topic here. Give me your best drunk story, Ken Lovejoy. You and I have known each other for a number of years. You're an Irishman.
Wow.
You're born on St. Patrick's Day. There has got to be something in your archives. You have got to have a backlog of drunk stories like the Beatles have unrecorded songs.
This is true. That's like asking me what's my favorite classic rock song. You know, it depends on the day. I've got several stories.
I got you.
But
give me one that rises to the top.
I spent 10 years in the Navy, and I was stationed in Subic Bay, Philippines for a year. And it happened to be 1986, the year that Ferdinand Marcos fell. Remember Imelda Marcos and all the shoes?
Oh, yeah.
Well, anyway, we were there, and we're stationed. And it's when you go off base, you're partying quite a bit, all the time. At the time, again, this was 1986, 87. Their peso was our nickel. So their dollar was like worth our nickel. So the money went further. And we're partying all weekend. And my friend Ken, I won't mention his last name. It's not me. It's my other buddy.
Gotcha.
Ken. He wound up contracting. It's hard to stay 100% there because there's a lot of diesel in the air. Everything's dirty off base. It's third world. And a lot of moisture, a lot of humidity, a lot of rain. And so it's kind of hard. He had conjunctivitis in his eyes. So his eyes were all kind of crusty and lizard looking. And then he contracted an STD. And so we're in uniform. And I was with the Seabees at the time. And we're walking to the chow hall on Monday morning for lunch. And you get inspected as you're going into the chow hall by a Marine. And if your uniform's, out of spec, they send you back to fix it before they'll let you into the chow hall. So we're walking in, and the Marine holds him up. Now, Ken has got conjunctivitis, lizard eyes. He's got his sunglasses on, can hardly see. And then you look down at him, he's got a big wet spot on his green CB pants from the STD. But that's not why the Marine rejected him. The Marine rejected him for this huge bird guano strike that had just got him all on the shoulder. And we all just fell out laughing our asses off at this because if he'd have given him a gun, he'd have ate it right there. It was hilarious.
Oh, man. So he got through with the lizard eyes and with whatever form of whatever he contracted.
Whatever that was.
Yes, but the bird schming. The bird schming on his shoulder. That was the end of the end of the story. You've got of course you're a radio host in Charlotte County, Florida, WCCFradio.com, iHeartRadio. Highly recommend you check out Ken's show. Always entertaining, always fun to go down there and be on it with you. But you're also on a podcast called The Freedom Chronicles. What's that?
When are you coming back?
I'm back down there with the Irish Comedy Tour.
With the Irish Comedy? Okay. What?
Yeah, with the Irish Comedy Tour. We're going to be there March 16, 17, 18, I believe. So yeah, we're going to be there on St. Patrick's Day.
Excellent.
I know. So we can get some conjunctivitis in your eyes, and you can get you an STD and have a bird take a dump on you.
Yes.
It'll work out perfect. But you got a podcast called The Freedom Chronicles with your host Mike Imbasciani. What is this podcast? Explain it. We saw a little clip of it earlier with your host Mike and also comedian Dave Landau. You guys kind of go all over you cover the whole spectrum of things.
We're all over the
political topics to entertainment. So
comedy, music. Mike Imbasciani is just a phenomenal blues guitarist. I've been bringing him on stage, emceeing shows with him in it since he was 12. And he's in his mid-20s now. And the guy's a phenomenal guitarist. He's homeschooled. He's a good conservative little boy. And we talk about everything, really. In fact, we'll be talking to you here in about an hour.
I know. I'm looking forward to
it.
It's always a good time.
You're going to be guessing.
It's always a good time coming on with you guys.
Yeah, we just kind of run the gamut. It's something that I've kind of wanted to do. He's really wanted to do it. So I'm kind of, okay, kid, all right, you little kid, let's humor the kid. Do this podcast thing with him. But it's a good time.
Well, you guys both do a great job with it. The interaction between the two of you is fun to watch, and it's fun when I come down to Port Charlotte and I'm in there in the studio with you two guys. So, yeah, Mike is years beyond his age in terms of maturity. There is no one his age. I know that. How old is he? 26?
25.
25 years old. Yeah, and he's definitely an old soul, but he's a great guy. Fun conversation. Give me the elevator pitch on why people should tune in for your podcast.
If you're looking for honesty, if you're looking for no filter with a clean tongue, much as I hate using that, and you want to find out, hear about stuff you're not hearing about, or hear opinions that you might find refreshing, that again are unscripted. I mean, we kind of toss out what articles we're gonna throw out there, but we basically don't really. I mean, I show prep for it in that I'm already doing a 2-hour radio show, prior to it, so I already kind of know what I'm going to talk about. We just go in there and we'll send Sean's brother Ben, some fellow brethren out there, our information, what we want to talk about, and we just kind of go for it.
No, you guys do a great job.
I don't know how to. I don't know. How do you pitch
on it right there? Well, here's the thing. With what you guys present is you have a very common sense approach to everything. And if somebody says, "Oh, well, this is a conservative show," I'm like, listen, it's a show that's based on common sense. Common sense doesn't have to be conservative or liberal. Common sense is common sense. I mean,
it's true.
Let's be honest. I mean, I'm a firm believer that extremism one way or the other is toxic. I think most of the country lies in the middle, and you need to really further refine that by, going along and listening, watching, reading, and studying just common sense approaches to things. And if somebody, is going to sit there and, make a political stance out of something that there's no reason for it to be political, I'll never understand that.
And we'll usually call you out on it.
Yes,
on
you
the
will.
Show, on the
like
show.
You said, no filter. You're a no BS guy. I can imagine if somebody came on there and decided to argue with you something, and they showed up ill prepared for the knife fight that they were going to get into in the parking lot. They brought lollipops
I'm trying to be a nice guy. I always try to have fun and cut jokes. We rib each other and stuff, and that's fun. But again, when you're trying to, when it's coming down to our freedoms, and when it's coming down to, particularly the COVID, the shot mandates, stuff like that goes beyond right, left, and political parties. It comes down to right and wrong, good and evil. And I see a lot. I see the fight that America is up against now, internally as well as externally, is a fight of right against wrong, good against evil, and that has no political ideology. You're either right or you're wrong. And
Sean, we need to be playing the Battle Hymn of the Republic behind Ken as he's talking right now, or America the Beautiful. So what we should do is, Sean, in post-production, let's go ahead and put in like America the Beautiful underneath Ken. So so we'll have it start like now, and then Ken goes off on his thing.
Tangent, little thing.
And then his little thing.
Yeah, but well, I am Irish. So.
Listen, believe me, if anybody knows about a little thing, it's me. And not like you and I have compared ours, but it's just it's a thing that we share amongst our ethnicity. The Freedom Chronicles, the podcast. You can get it. Where can people find the Freedom Chronicles? I know they can go and follow you guys on social media.
You can find it on Rumble for sure. On Rumble. We have a Rumble channel. You can find it on I don't know where. Yeah, I think Mike is posting it now on Truth Social as well. I'll throw it up on my Gab page, Truth Social. It's on Rumble, and you can find it on CTA.tv.
And also make sure you listen to Ken Lovejoy at WCCFradio.com via iHeartRadio. Charlotte County Speaks. It's a fantastic show. It's common sense. And once again, let's go ahead and roll that America the Beautiful underneath this here, which you will hear shortly. You're awesome.
Don't let them mess with our precious bodily fluids.
Ken Lovejoy, great to see you. Continued success with everything, and good luck with all the recovery down there with you guys and Hurricane Ian. And I'll definitely be seeing you guys coming up in March with the Irish Comedy Tour.
Looking forward to it. Appreciate it, Derek.
Good seeing you, pal. Ken Lovejoy, my guest today here on a Drink with Derek. Always a great time talking with him. And I appreciate you for tuning in. Check out all the episodes of A Drink with Derek via YouTube. You can also find us on Rumble. Follow us on social media, my website, DerekRichards.com. While you're online, grab a copy of my album Double Down, which is available on iTunes, Spotify, and Amazon. And also check out the IrishComedyTour.com. We have dates coming up starting February 23rd in Johnson City, New York. We will be in Peekskill, New York, Boston, Massachusetts. We'll be in Largo, Florida. And, of course, Port Charlotte, Florida, over St. Patrick's Day, the holiest of Irish holidays. We will be at Visani Comedy Theater in Port Charlotte, Florida on St. Patrick's Day. My name is Derek Richards. Again, thank you so much for being here on A Drink with Derek, and we will see you next time. Take care. Have a good one. Bye.
Thanks for listening to A Drink with Derek. Find out when Derek is appearing near you by checking out DerekRichards.com. See you next time for A Drink with Derek.